Check. Yeah. Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Wow. Are we also picking up that other mic? Oh. How do I
got it.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's the knob on top. Anyway, welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. Smooth running machine. Crawling on the ground in front of me. It's December. I'm chill, little lazy, so we're going to be having some fun today. So I usually do a cold open, right? To just start going right into a rant. So I got to stop watching police body cam videos. It's just got to happen. I got to stop watching them because every time I see a police now with running lights and sirens, I get excited. I feel like this could be my big break. You know, he could pull me over and I just, start messing with him and be like, I'm not driving, I'm traveling. Just yanking your chain. Here's my license and registration. Please do not cuff me today for being a smartass. Or if you sit there, he's like, I'm Officer so-and-so, Officer Wilson, Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Department. You're being audio and video recorded. He points to his body camera, and as soon as I see it, I look straight in the body camera and say, Shock Monkey Radio, patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, Shock Monkey Radio on Cash Apps. And then I do the sovereign citizen routine. I do that, and that way, all those channels that cover that kind of stuff will put it up, and I can get my name in lights, and people will start subscribing to this channel in the droves. So please subscribe to this channel. I would appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio. I'm also on social media. You can see over here. Bottom right of your screen. Bottom left of your screen. It's like looking at yourself in the mirror, I don't know my right from my left. I got to quit looking at it. I think I did better when I didn't have a monitor, when I wasn't actually looking back at myself. Because, I kind of want to unsubscribe from my channel. Just doing a live show, looking at myself. So welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the madman. My friggin' dryer broke again. My dryer broke again. So, you know what I had to do this week? I had to go to the laundromat again. And let me tell you, it's always a motley crew at the laundromat. A lot of Hispanics doing laundry at a laundromat. But, they bring the whole family, and it looks like they're having fun. There's times I've been to the laundromat, and I'm like, man, I wish I understood Spanish better. They seem like they're having way more fun than I am. I'm just sitting there waiting for my clothes to dry. But there's this, I'm outside. I put my stuff in the dryer. I step outside, and I have a cigarette. I have my book with me. I'm reading Gavin McInnes's Death of Cool again. And I had that, minding my business, smoking a cigarette outside, reading my book, minding my own business. And this lady comes out, this crazy lady comes out with like 2 big baskets full of clothes, all bagged up and everything. And she comes up and puts them kind of near where I'm sitting. She sits at this other side of this table as me. And I'm reading my book, minding my own business. And all of a sudden she's making a phone call. And I hate when people do this. They'll do it like on speaker, so you hear both sides of the conversation. And you're like, I don't want to be involved in any of this. And she's yelling at this lady who is apparently your daughter on the other side of this phone. She's like, where are you? It's like, we're on our way. It's like, you left me here. You took my, and she's yelling at her daughter. You left me here. You took my purse and my cigarettes. And I got nothing here. You guys ran off to Walmart, leaving me here. She's talking about how none of you got a job and we're all useless and stuff like it. I'm just like, why couldn't you do that around the corner? Why couldn't you do that in private somewhere? Not like 5 feet away from me. All right. And then she hangs up the phone and she like wants to bring me in on the conversation. She's like, oh, I can't believe these kids. They left me here with my purse and my cigarettes. And as she's saying this, she pulls a pack of cigarettes out of her purse and lights one. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this is a crazy person. And she's going on about how she's right and how her kids are losers. And I'm just like, wow, what a colorful world we live in. And what a, I don't know, I guess a sane world. Every time I think my family's crazy, every time you think your family's crazy, spend a day at the laundromat. Because there's some real characters out there in this world, and I'm telling you. And I don't know why she thought I had any interest in what's going on in her family, in the drama that's going on between her and her daughter. And I don't know if it's just the way I look. I have one of those faces people think they could just talk to. I don't want to talk to you. I brought my book to avoid human interaction. And every other person at the laundromat who would walk by me, they say, oh, that guy's reading a book. He probably doesn't want to have a conversation. But not this lady. She's going to drag me kicking and screaming into the drama that is her life. Anyway. I don't know. I mean, I think it's December. I get misanthropic, depressed, angry at the world, seasonal affective disorder, and all that. So maybe I'm just being a little harsh on the lady, but I'm going to be harsh on other people today too. So keep that in mind. Want to think happy thoughts? Let's think happy thoughts. I was thinking about the best Christmas tree ever in my life. And we have to go back in time, I want to say the mid-'80s. I don't know, I was about 7 or 8, maybe 9 when this happened. We had some friends that lived in the trailer park with us in upstate New York, in Lake Placid, New York. And, a lot of frugal people who live in a trailer park, you know what I mean? So we're like, hey, why would we go to the parking lot of the Grand Union, the IGA, and buy a Christmas tree when we're surrounded by woods? This is upstate. This is the Adirondacks. There's fir trees everywhere. Why not go cut one down ourselves? So these two guys, one's named Scott, one was named Ken. Ken was the older brother, and me. We all go searching for the perfect Christmas tree for their trailer. So. And in the summers in like Lake Placid, you'd go out there, it's upstate New York, so there's tons of streams running everywhere. And so you're hopping over streams and playing in the mud, and you know these woods by the back of your hand. And I thought I'd explored everything there is out there, but no. Because that day it was snow up to our waists, so maybe like 3 feet of snow. Scott brought a saw and Ken brought an axe. And we just started walking in the woods and said, so how are we going to find one? Where do you go look for furs? And it was like, well, you just basically keep walking until you find one. And we walked a long ways into the woods until we came in this clearing, and the clearing had a big stream running through it, and had hills like rolled up into kind of into the center of it, and on the center of this hill in this clearing was like a 5-foot Douglas fir tree. It was great. And Ken spotted it and he shouted, "That's the one! That's the one!" And I remember him like trying to run in the snow towards the tree because he was all excited. And it was just hilarious because it took forever. It's like you might as well just have walked. You're going about the same speed. And we all made our way up to this hill and chopped down this. It was about 5 foot tall fir. And it was great. It was great. We brought it back, dragged it all the way back to the trailer park, all the way back and put it in the trailer, and they decorated it. I didn't help decorate it. It's their tree. But I remember thinking that, we went and bought a Christmas tree. Or no, I think that year we had a fake tree, And I think that year I was like, that's the best Christmas tree to get in many ways. Going and buying one or going and get a fake one, or I don't know. It's just not the same thing in the true masculine sense of the Yuletide spirit, if you know what I mean. Going out and hunting a tree is just as, important as, well, maybe not as important as going and hunting a deer. The tree's just a decoration after all. But the tree that you hunted and you found and you cut down yourself and dragged to your home, that's the same kind of sense of, I don't know, masculine pride you would get of bringing home a deer carcass. It's you did your job as a man in many ways. And I remember these Scott and Ken were older than I was, about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So they were already preteens. They were already adolescent boys. And so, post-pubescent boys. And so, they kind of knew they had to do that, be the man of the house, do the manly stuff. And I remember thinking that was probably the best tree I've ever, I was thinking about it last night. It's just the best tree I've ever seen was one that we went and found wild. Anyway, I think that's a good memory. Glad I could share it with you, But, it also made me think about Lake Placid a lot. Yeah. You could take the tree away. I'm going to talk about something else in Lake Placid because, I guess I was like kindergarten through 4th grade, I was living in Lake Placid, New York. And I left. I was about 10 years old when we left, and we moved down to Georgia. Big change, I know. Big change from oppressive, 4-foot snow days and to oppressive heat, and they get like a dusting and they close school for the entire week. It was a big difference. Culture shock, you know what I mean? Moving from Lake Placid, New York to Georgia. But when I was I want to say 15 or 16, I went back to Lake Placid, New York to visit some friends of the family that we had up in Lake Placid. And when I left, we were all prepubescent. Now I was about 16. I was post-pubescent. And all these girls that I knew and played with in school had a renewed interest in me when I saw them. I don't know. I was probably me at 15, 16, probably the best looking I've ever been. Maybe. I don't know. I always thought I was ugly, but it's so I ran into these girls. I remember there's this one named Danielle that I hung out with the most, and I remember she lived down near the IGA, and
oh man, IGA.
EKs remember an IGA.
One of those
Yeah,
years.
I remember she lived down near the IGA, and I didn't see her when I was up there, but everyone was like, oh, but she's like super hot now. And they're like showing me pictures of her and stuff like that. And she had grown into super hot. She had like really blue eyes. These features that you don't notice when you're like before puberty and then after puberty, you're like, oh yeah, she did have like really blue eyes, dark hair, good looking girl. But I didn't see her that time. I was like, man, we could have, if I hadn't moved around so much when I was a kid, maybe I would have got more poontang. There was a girl across the street that I hung out with a lot. We rode bikes and skateboarded, and I think her name was Heather. And she grew up in over the last 6 years, she grew into quite the athlete, and so she was real fit, she was strong, and good looking. And I remember because when I saw her again, she was like, hey, but she was embarrassed because she had a back brace on. Now, you remember the aluminum monster from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, those people that have a bad back or they have broken their back, they sometimes put them in a back brace. And she was in this back brace, and I could tell that she was like, oh, you turned out to be pretty cute. And I'm looking at her saying, oh, you turned out to be pretty cute too. But I knew she was embarrassed to be seen in this back brace by me. And I found that to be cute and endearing and stuff like that. I don't know what happened to her. And then there's this one, the family friends we were staying with, they had a teenage daughter about my age. And I still wasn't quite understanding the whole male-female dynamic, and I didn't really understand what was going on. But she was always sitting right next to me on the couch whenever we're watching TV or something like that. Always near me, always around. And then late in the evenings, we're watching a movie before everyone goes to bed and stuff like that. And I'm laying down on the couch where I'm sleeping. And she's like, oh, let me cuddle up here next to you on the couch. I'm not following what's going on, but I think she wanted it. I think she wanted it. And, I can't remember her name for the life of me. What a wonderful guy I am. Anyway, but I mean, back then I didn't really get any of that stuff. I didn't really understand anything about male, female until I was 20. I was a very late bloomer, but back then those girls were interested. And I was just thinking about, it's if I hadn't moved around so much, I would have had developed these longer relationships with girls that I was friends with when it was easier to be friends with girls. And maybe things could have happened. Maybe my life would have been different. I don't know. But I mean, there's a million decisions we make in life, and they all take you in different directions. And you never know which way it's, what's gonna happen in your life. I think the point I'm really getting at is that when you reach my age, when you're in your mid-40s or so forth, you think more about women you could have banged instead, and less about women you can bang. Because, you know, the women you can bang now, you're just not really worth the effort. Anyway, well, I used to be hot. I was a male model, you know. I worked for Ralph Lauren as a model, by the way. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about a movie today. Can you believe it?
What movie are you not going to talk about?
I'm not going to talk about the movie Envy I saw. I saw that movie again. Any movie that has to do with killing a horse, I want to watch it. Somebody told me, you should watch that movie Envy. And I was like, oh, why? Is it good? I was like, well, it's kind of funny, but somebody kills a horse in it. And it's like, sign me up. So I'm not going to talk about Envy. I was talking with my friend Jonathan. We were playing role-playing games. And we were having this conversation outside having a cigarette. And I was like, and I mentioned in passing, it's like, oh, it's like that time I popped you remember that time I popped a blood vessel in my eye? Drinking. Yeah.
See that the next day and not know what happened.
Yeah. No, I know what happened. I was puking pretty hard. I knew how it happened. And Jonathan said, which time? Because Jonathan and I back in the day, we drank. We were heavy drinkers, you know. Got all the way through the Navy without a tattoo. But I really drink that beer. I drink all the beer. If there's beer in your fridge, EK, and it goes missing, I probably drank it. Yeah, you remember those days when I'd drink, like, go through a case, no problem? So I was just thinking about, I was, you know, 12 beers deep, and I was like, oh, there's no more beer. And and I was thinking, wow, I really do drink less than I used to. And I suppose that's a good thing. You shouldn't be popping blood vessels in your eye, you know. And I wonder from time to time if that's ever going to, like, catch up with me. And maybe that's why the doctor's always like, well, wow, your blood pressure's so high. So maybe I need to take more aspirin. I don't know. Maybe do something about the blood pressure. But, you know, I just wonder, is there ever going to be a time when I wouldn't want to drink beer? And I can't think of one. I don't think I can give it up. It's like when people say you want to lose weight, give up the carbs, give up the bread. And it's like, screw you. I'm not giving up cheeseburgers. I'm not giving up pizza. You're out of your mind. They're like, well, get the cheeseburger without the bread. Just eat the cheese and the meat off the pizza. It's like, no. That's not how you eat pizza, and that's not how you eat a cheeseburger. It's not a cheeseburger at that point. It's not a pizza at that point. I'm not giving up carbs. I don't think I'm ever going to give up drinking beer. But I can drink less beer that keeps me from popping blood vessels in my eye. The first time I popped a blood vessel in my eye was a 6 of Mickey's hand grenades, malt liquor. And I puked that night, and I remember lying to my grandmother, who also drank a lot. Oh, I must have got some bad meat at McDonald's. She's like, yeah, whatever. Why does it smell like liquor in here? Malt liquor in here. She probably could even smell the brand and the way that, you know, everyone in my family drinks. But I mean, and then I was working selling vacuum cleaners back then, and I had to go try to sell a vacuum cleaner with a broken blood vessel in my eye. Guess what? I didn't sell it. I was always bad at sales jobs. People don't want to buy stuff from me. I don't know. Maybe it's busted blood vessels in my eye. I don't think I can trust you. I'm going to give you this money for this vacuum cleaner, and you're going to run out and, like, bust up another blood vessel in your eye. Whatever you're doing that does that. Anyway, so I just wanted to point out that I drank all the beer. All the beer. All right, I want to talk about one more thing before we get into the news worth knowing. Something that kind of depressing to me. Hopefully it won't be depressing to you. I try to see the funny side in everything, even the things that depress me. But I recently matched with this girl on, like, Facebook dating profile. We've been sending a couple DMs back and forth. And she's a cute black girl, lives in cute thin black girl, lives in a town that's about 2.5 hours away. And we had this conversation. She's like, "What you doing?" And I'm sitting at home being broke. And as I send that message, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? What the hell am I doing? And I'll hope this big stream of thoughts coming in, and of course more DMs are coming through, and I'm just not responding. So I just want to apologize to this lady if she's out there watching this. It's like, I'm sorry I ghosted you. Sorry to all those ladies out there that I ghosted. But this frequently happens when I match with somebody on a dating site and start talking to them for a while. All right. Generally, black women and white women, I don't necessarily think are always great. They tend to be, both of them, both those types tend to be entitled, progressive, high maintenance. In an ideal world, I'd probably want somebody who's more Latina or Asian, because they have more traditional values, and I'm more of a traditional guy in that regard. But I mean, at the same time, I don't really trust anybody who's clearly out of my league. And so this girl is out of my league, and she's like pressing a conversation, and I don't know. Plus, I know that town; it's a rough town. And I've been single since party lines. I don't know if you remember this. Back before the internet, we had party lines where you call this like 800 number, you make an account with them, and then you can create this mailbox and voicemail box, and you had to do a greeting, say, hey, I'm Scott, I'm single, and I'm 21 years old, I'm in the Navy, and I'm off on the weekends. Hit me up, leave a voicemail, and I'll get back to you. My box number is 74 or something like that, And even back then, dating online in that sense was always shady, always shady. There's this one time I met this chick up in like Stafford, and her boyfriend shows up. I'm sitting there talking to her. Her boyfriend shows up, and he's like, oh, I see. So she got some guy to come over from using Match.com again just to piss me off. And I'm like, look, I'm out of here. So you never know what these people are doing. Plus, I was thinking, okay, this chick is in a town that's 2.5 hours away. I can't afford to fill up my car twice just to go see her. And even if I do get there, I have no money to do anything interesting with her. So I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, what am I even doing? I can't afford a woman. I have the desire, I have the desire for all that, but I can't afford it. I can't afford it because you're not going to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, becoming a patron today, or sending me money through Cash App. If you don't send me money through Cash App, or if you don't sign up to Patreon and become a patron at patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, there's no way I'm ever going to get a date. There's no way I'm going to not ghost these girls. There's some poor girl in Norfolk who is very, very lonely right now and wondering why that guy who's beneath her, she was slumming, even talking to me. And she's like, why did he ghost me? And doubting herself because you haven't become a patron. I can't treat these women right if you don't treat me right by becoming a patron. This is the weirdest begging I've ever done. Yeah, that's a weird pitch. Hey, it's a weird time of year. I'm feeling weird. Let's get into the news worth knowing. These liberals are so happy today. I don't get it. What was it that dude that died today? Created All in the Family. What's his name?
Oh, I know. I saw the news. I can't remember the guy's name.
What's his name? All in the Family. American sitcom. They're raving about it. Who was it created by? Norman Lear. Yeah. Norman Lear died today, and they're like, oh, do they love him because he was super liberal. And it was funny because, All in the Family, they keep bringing that show up and how progressive it was. And so they made that show trying to show America how racist they were, and then America loved it. They loved Archie Bunker. They loved that guy. And so they're like, oh, yeah, we were totally trying to make it a comedy exactly like that, And they also did Maude and these, all the, like the Jeffersons and stuff like that. I mean, it's okay to make shows, the Jeffersons, a very entertaining show. Same with Good Times. It's nothing wrong with creating new shows, and you got to be celebrated for your accomplishments and what you did in television, absolutely. But the point is that he was one of their own, and they're real. They want to bring up all that stuff. They're always dying to bring up that stuff. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Madman's definitely going to talk about that house that blew up in Arlington. And like, no, I'm not going to talk about it. That seems fishy as hell. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till more info comes out. It's kind of like that Las Vegas shooting, Still waiting to comment on that for more information to come out about it. But Can't seem to get any. So let's talk about the usual stuff. Let's talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC claims women will face doctor exams if biological men are barred from female sports. Okay, so Squad Representative AOC from New York claimed that all underage women will face genital examinations if biological men are barred from women's sports. Because that's how we did it before, right? Right? No? Why? Why is it always on your mind? Why is looking at kids' genitals always on Democrats' minds? Why is it the first thing that pops in their head? She made the claim during a Tuesday House Oversight Subcommittee on Health a hearing featuring NCAA swimmer legend and women's sports advocate Riley Gaines. She's a good-looking one, huh? The New York Democrat said there are several proposals looking to marginalize transgender Americans before claiming during her questioning that women would have to get their pants checked if someone disbelieves their stated gender. Quote, we're all talking about opening up all women and girls to genital examinations when they are underage, potentially just because somebody can point to someone and say, I don't think you were a girl, she claimed. And we're saying this in an environment in a post-Dobbs America where states are criminalizing access to abortion. What does that have to do with this? And want nothing more than that on women to figure out when, who's getting a menstrual cycle, who doesn't have one, and we're supposed to believe that this is going to make us better and safer. What is she talking about? It's a transgender issue. All of a sudden, you're talking about abortion and women's rights. It's like, I think you're confused about what you're talking about. I just think she's confused. She went on to say, I think not, and per usual, I don't believe that we're sitting here on a panel of men that has actually thought about the biology and privacy consequences of women, trans, or cisgendered. Her claim comes almost a year after Ohio State Senate removed a controversial provision from the state House proposal barring biological men from competing against women, which would have required an internal and external exams to confirm a student athlete's gender. You know what that means? That means getting a physical. Every time I played a sport, I had to get a physical. The doctor had to check me out. And all that doctor has to do is check male or female. That's how we used to do it. That's how we will do it again. It's very simple. All right? It was simple until you people tried to complicate this matter. You are making it complicated for no reason whatsoever. But you think that the next step is to check kids' pants. Why does your mind always go to that, Democrats? Am I wrong? Why are they always thinking that that's the answer? It's like the banned books in Florida. No, they're just not allowed in schools. They're not banning books. You can still go to the bookstore and buy those books. They're just saying this is not appropriate to teach to children in public school. Anyway. So, yeah. Speaking of which, Pennsylvania school board president sworn into office with sexually explicit book. See, because it's like their Bible. It's sacred to them. It is holy text to them. That's why they can swear upon it, because that is what they worship. You understand? All right. Now let's read the article, now that you got the editorial ahead of time. A new Pennsylvania school board president was sworn into her position, of course, on Monday with her hand on a stack of controversial books, one of which included sexually explicit content. Karen Smith, of course her name's Karen, a Democrat who was, I think you covered it, Karen, Democrat, elected to the school board November 7th, has sworn in on December 4th as the new Central Bucks school board president after a vote by the board. As Smith walked up to the podium to be sworn in, her husband followed her with the stack of books. Quote, thank you for your trust in me. I do not take...
Did you mispronounce cat again?
No, cat? No. It's definitely husband. Cat's a shorter word, I think. Thank you for your trust in me, she said. I do not take this hand lightly. I feel it is a very heavy responsibility, and you have my word, I'll do my best for everyone, Smith said. To my supporters, I am very thankful. To those of you who have challenged me, I will do all I can to hear your voices and concerns. Ceremony, blah, blah, blah. One of the books she placed her hand on was called Flamer, written by award-winning author and artist Mike Curato. Released in 2020, Curado's work is a autobiographical graphic novel set in 1995. It tells the story of a character who was bullied at the Boy Scout summer camp for acting in a manner considered stereotypical of gay men. The graphic novel includes characters discussing pornography, erections, masturbation, penis size, and an illustration that depicts naked teenage boys. Book courted controversy across the country, making the American Library Association's list of the most banned books of 2022. Book has reportedly been challenged in at least 62 schools for its LGBTQ content and sexually explicit material. That's the more important part, is the sexually explicit material. The LGBT content, we can argue that all day, but specifically the sexually explicit content. I'm done with this article, but these things are like discussing things like pornography, erections, masturbation, penis size, all that stuff. It happens no matter what. Boys growing up, they're going to talk about that stuff. But it's not something that the school should be talking to them about. Or any adult should be talking to them about. And you shouldn't have somebody who's in charge of the school board, swearing on a stack of these books. It's not a Bible. The reason why we swear on the Bible is because it is sacred. It represents the highest ideals of mankind. These books are pornography, basically. And it's like swearing on a sack of hustlers. Who's going to believe you, Larry Flint? Anyway, let's talk about North Korea for a minute. All right, how about this? Kim Jong-un weeps as he calls on North Korean women to have more children to stem birth rate decline. That way you have something to eat. Sorry. It's North Korea, after all. So North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un implored women in the East Asian country to have more children and raise them as communists. And he wept as he delivered the emotional address to the enraptured audience. Enraptured should be in quotes. Okay. If they're not enraptured, they get killed. You know what I mean? So, quote, stopping the decline in birth rates and providing good child care and education for all our family affairs is that we should solve together with our mothers, Un said, dabbing tears away with a white handkerchief. During the 5th National Conference of Mothers in Pyongyang, Un tackled housekeeping duties, which included calling upon women to fulfill their duties and strengthening national power by having more children. Quote, preventing a decline in birth rates and good child care and all of our housekeeping duties we need to handle while working with mothers, Un said. So the Supreme Leader counseled North Korean women to raise their children as communists. All mothers should, quote, all mothers should fulfill their responsibility and duty assumed before society, and families with confidence in and optimism about the prospects of our socialist construction and has changed the ideal society to come in the near future, Kim Jong-un said in a speech. They have a heavy mission to bring up the children to be pillars of socialist and communist construction and masters of a future society. Yeah. Anyway, also done with this article. But, he was crying during it, dabbing away tears. Do you believe that guy? Do you believe that guy has emotions? I don't think he feels anything. And his real concern is, it's like everybody's dying. Everybody's dying of starvation, but we need the population in order to, do communism. We need poor people to take stuff from, to fill our own pockets. So he's telling these people to have more babies. And, I think by the way, it's now a worldwide problem. The birth rate ratio of the entire world is just going down, especially in the Western world. It's odd to see this kind of thing happening in an Eastern country, absolutely, because I'm telling you, the Middle East is breeding like crazy, Africa's breeding like crazy. They still have the traditional values, you know what I mean? It's the West where people aren't, breeding as much, and if there's not enough population to sustain the infrastructure that we have now, it's going to be a real problem in the future. All right, so even a supervillain like Kim Jong-un can have a good idea from time to time, It's funny, it's like all the best like supervillains in movies or whatever like that, they have a good plan, and sometimes even a what they consider to be a noble goal. Like take Thanos, for example. I know this is an overused example, but Thanos thought he was doing the right thing for the universe. You know, usually villains don't think they're the bad guys. They think they're the good guys. Kim Jong-un thinks he's a good guy. That's why he was dabbing tears. God. But even if you live in North Korea, you got to know it sucks there, right? He's like, oh, the whole world lives like this, right? No, dude, no. You got to know it sucks there. All right. Let's talk about the government wasting even more of our money. So Kamala Harris receives a golden gavel after setting a record for tie-breaking Senate votes. Vice President Kamala Harris was awarded a golden gavel this week to celebrate her record-breaking amount of tie-breaking votes in the Senate. Harris made this achievement Tuesday with a vote in support of confirming Lauren Alicon as a U.S. District Court judge. Quote, the vice president's tie-breaking votes have been consequential in moving the Biden-Harris agenda forward over the last 3 years, White House spokesperson said. They continued, these tie-breaking votes have helped deliver for the American people by lowering costs for American families, creating good-paying jobs in local communities, and providing economic relief for small businesses across the country. Well, I'll just mute my speakers, okay? Because the odd just popped. He got scared. He didn't know what happened.
The microphone, I thought
Yeah.
the system.
Yeah.
Oh.
So here's the interesting part of this story. Harris surpassed the record of John C. Calhoun, who served as vice president from 1825 to 1832. So that it is kind of a milestone. But I don't know if you need to give her a golden gavel. That seems a little excessive. You know, I even get mad when they have to make up special pens for signing like a document. You know, they make some peace accord or whatever like that. And they get special commemorative pens, and the White House orders 8,000 of them like that, gives them out to everybody. And it's like, that's our money they're spending on bullshit like that. You know, it's, I know there's like bigger issues of corruption and all sorts of like how they're wasting our tax dollars and stuff like that, sending money to Ukraine. I know that, but for some reason, these little trinkets and stuff that they give to each other, you know, I know that our tax dollars pay for this nonsense. And for some reason, those things irritate me more. You know, they sent, you know, 300 billion or whatever like that to Ukraine, and I'm still mad about a golden gavel they give to Kamala Harris. I'm more mad about that for some reason. You shouldn't get an award for doing a horrible, horrible job.
Agreed.
Anyway, it's that, what do they say? Failing upward? Yeah. I don't know. It's weird being in politics. You screw up and you get a promotion. All right, 2 more stories and then we're out of here. Wow, quick one today. All right. Man shocked. I'll read the whole headline. Let's see if I can get through it. It's a long headline. Man shocked to discover source of headaches for 5 months is a pair of chopsticks inside his skull. Get this. A pounding headache led to a shocking discovery for a man in Vietnam after the source of the pain was revealed to be a pair of chopsticks. A pair of chopsticks. After the man experienced several severe headaches for 5 months, doctors at Cuba Friendship Hospital in Dong Hoi told the 35-year-old man that he had a pair of chopsticks lodged inside his skull, according to the New York Post. Upon checking into the hospital on November 25th, a CT scan revealed that the man was suffering from a rare, potentially life-threatening neurological condition that was caused by the pair of chopsticks that had been allegedly gone up his nose and into his brain. Dear God. The Post reported that while the man was initially surprised at how the chopsticks ended up inside his skull, he soon remembered a fight he was involved in while out drinking 5 months before. Jesus, dude. The patient reportedly told doctors that he could not recall many details from the fight, but he did remember someone stabbing him in the face with an unknown object.
Oh my God.
I don't think I've ever been that drunk. See, that's why I was giving you all those warnings about beer, drinking beer. Because sometimes, you know, you may wake up with chopsticks in your head. Surgeons were able to successfully remove the chopsticks, and the patient was said to be in stable condition, waiting to be released from the hospital. Oh my God. Short story, to the point, and terrifying. You know, how do you... I don't know. I feel like I'd be a hypocrite if I say, how do you forget that? And, you know, there's entire conversations. You know, it's like Gavin McInnes says, if 2 blackout drunks have a conversation, where does that go? Is it go on a hard drive somewhere in the universe? You know, does God record that? We can go back and review it. Maybe we have some brilliant ideas. in those moments. I tell you what isn't brilliant, though, is getting in a fight and getting stabbed in the face with chopsticks. And the guy that stabbed you in the face, do you think he would remember? I suppose like 2 or 3 months later, it's like, hey, man, I'm sorry about that fight a couple months ago. Did you ever get that looked at? The chopsticks that went in your face, disappeared in your face? What? What are you talking about? Dude, I stabbed you with chopsticks, and they disappeared in your face. They went up your nose, and the poof, it was gone. They were gone. I don't know where they went, dude. Maybe I should go to see a doctor. Yeah, maybe you should.
That doesn't sound right to me. I don't remember that.
I don't remember. There's no way that happened. God, I just don't know why to get some Tylenol. I've been having these horrible headaches lately. Oh, like I said, it's a mad world, huh? So here's one last story. One to give us another chuckle before we're out of here for the week. So Paraguayan official out over agreement signed with fake country. I don't like this headline. It should say ousted. Paraguayan official ousted over agreement signed with fake country. I think that's better. So a Paraguayan government official was replaced after it was revealed that he signed a memorandum of understanding with representatives of a fugitive Indian guru's fictional country, who also appear to have duped several local officials in the South American country. The revelation sparked a scandal and lots of social media mockery in Paraguay, but it's hardly the first time self-described representatives of the United States of Kamala duped international leaders. Earlier this year, they managed to participate in a United Nations committee meeting in Geneva and also signed agreements with local leaders in the United States and Canada. Arnaldo Chamorro was replaced as chief of staff for Paraguay's agriculture ministry on Wednesday, shortly after it was revealed that he signed a proclamation with representatives of the United States of Kamala. Among other things, this October 16th proclamation expressed a sincere wish, this is a quote, sincere wish and recommendation for the government of Paraguay to consider, explore, and actively seek the establishment of diplomatic relations with the United States of Kamala and support the administration of the United States of Kamala as a sovereign and independent state and various international organizations, including, among others, the United Nations, according to a copy of the agreement that was posted on social media. Representatives of the fictional country met with Chamorro and Agriculture Minister Carlos Jimenez, Chamorro said in a radio interview. During the interview, Chamorro recognized he didn't know where Kamala was located, and said he signed what he characterized as a memorandum of understanding because they offered to help Paraguay with a very variety of issues, including irrigation. Yeah, what do you need? We want to help you out too. What do you know? Well, we could use some irrigation. Done. My fictional country will fix all of your irrigation issues. No matter what you said, they would have been able to help. I guarantee it. Photos posted in Kamala's social media accounts also showed representatives of the fictional country signing agreements with local leaders of the Maria Antonia and Carpe municipalities. The social media account celebrated each of these signings. On Kamala's website, the fictional country is described as a revival of the ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation, which is being revived by displaced Hindus from around the world. It is led by self-styled guru Nithyananda, who is wanted in India on several charges, including sexual assault. His whereabouts are unknown. Jeez. Representatives of the United States of Kamala participated in 2 UN committee meetings in Geneva in February, according to media reports. In March, New York City Hall in New Jersey acknowledged it had gotten scammed when it signed a sister city agreement with Gillies. That's the end of the article, and that's hilarious, isn't it? You know, I always said, it was like I wanted to create my own country and just start knocking on the door of the UN, demand to be let in, demand to have veto power. UN Security Council. You know what I'm saying? United Nations Security Council. I deserve that because I'm my own nation. And this guy did it for real. Signing agreements with dumbass countries and their dumbass bureaucrats. You know what I mean? That's the point. It's like, so many of these politicians, no matter what country you're in, it's like, oh, that sounds official. Look, I guess I'll have to do something about it. Anyway. I'm feeling lazy. I don't even think I'm going to do the notes later tonight. I might wait till tomorrow to do that. That's okay. That's okay. We got all week to do all this stuff. You know, I got other things to do too. You needy viewer. This is going to be the end of the show before I start getting mean. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon, patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Also, you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. Follow me on social media over here. I also have books available for digital download on Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's, or you can follow the links down in the description below. But I probably won't get to it till tomorrow. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.